We all have games that we thoroughly played in the past. Games that we were heavily invested in, only to put that game down and not play it for a long time, or ever again. And when we revisit these worlds, it's like coming back home. Home not necessarily meaning your house, but a familiar place where you spent some of your life's treasured moments. Today, both me and Adam want to talk about some of our favourite games that give us this feeling of a digital space feeling like a real world due to the memories associated with them. The first game that I would like to talk about is Tinan Race. Tinan was a character created by Phenomedia, the same people behind the Crazy Chicken franchise. I loved their games as a kid, even though I wasn't able to get my hands on many of them. There are a few levels in this game that my younger self loved, because it made my imagination go wild. The first level particularly, which is the toy warehouse. I love the concept of regular sized things being bigger or smaller than they should be. I love miniatures, for example. So, being in this world where you are tiny, and regular sized things like plush toys are massive, well, it's pretty awesome. The environment feels real, but yet would never exist in real life, except outside a novelty tourist attraction in the city somewhere. But I know for a fact that young me would have killed to go to a place like this, where everything is massive. The second stage that really stuck with me was the factory level. I think what I liked about it is that each room held something completely different inside, so even though it's all part of the same level, it felt like you were entering a different environment each time. I think I liked that you could drive on assembly lines too. The closest game that gives me this sort of feeling is probably Revolt. I would also like to talk about Redneck Kentucky, but I have already made a full video on this game. Twice in fact. Recently too. I can't get away from this game. So hey, why not check out that video once you finish this one? I always loved Night City levels in Maluch Racer too. Well, specifically in Chesky Ride, since that's the version that I owned as a kid. I think I was fascinated with nighttime since the time that my parents took me to a Biedronka during the night, specifically to pick up a little toy made out of a black pipe cleaner. It was a man with a thin plastic top hat. I remember being mesmerized by the high pressure sodium lamps, and their aesthetic is something that I still love even to this day. Yeah, I don't know, these two nighttime levels have a really lovely atmosphere to them, and I'm pretty sure it was also the first level in Chesky Ride. And the game is rage-inducingly hard, so I must have replayed that map over and over because I couldn't progress to the late stages. But I must have enjoyed the map for what it's worth. As dumb as it may sound, Mirror's Edge had a huge impact on me personally. I adored the design of that game. With most of the outside world being white, the designers used bright colours in impactful ways, such as in the interior of buildings, or to add accent colour to wherever it was suitable. You know my logo? The reason that it looks like that is entirely because of Mirror's Edge, and likewise my sister channel, Pocket Pixel. My favourite film stock is incidentally also white and green. It's also what I asked my parents to paint my room back in around 2016. As well as my love for the style of the game, it also really sparked my interest in modern architecture and my love for big cities, helped by Catalyst and its even more beautiful architecture. But yeah, 14-year-old me was obsessed with this game. Though I don't even know how I discovered it in the first place. I think it was Nerdcubed. I remember even getting a special edition PC version with a music CD of the remixes of the game's theme song. An uncommon though not rare release. I still love replaying the game, purely to revisit this world I spent so much time obsessing over. I could realistically remember each and every level of that game, which helps, because there are certain points in the game where it's not obvious as to where you're meant to go. It really is a pleasure to my eyes, and it transforms me to a space that was once so significant to me. Portal 1 and 2 are also games that I was heavily invested in. Thanks to a promotion back in 2010, when Steam launched on macOS 10, the game was made free for everyone for a limited time. And that is in fact when I created my Steam account and got the game. And once again, I fell in love with the world of Aperture Science. Portal felt bigger than it was, thanks to the windows in the testing chambers, where employees were once watching subjects carry out experiments, now with everyone dead, except Chell, and possibly Doug Ratman. I loved the fact that you got to escape the testing chambers, and got to explore the back rooms of Aperture Science, so to speak. How behind this reasonably clean and tidy testing laboratory are gritty industrial areas that only certain employees would have seen, and how you end up going back and forth between the employee rooms and the industrial areas. As I said in multiple videos from this series, nothing fascinated me more as a kid than callbacks in video games, where you got to see a level that you were previously in, but in a different light. And the fact you actually got to stare out of one of these employee windows and see that's not just an empty facade, but a real place, oh, that got me good. I actually really got into the Ratman lore, as well as all of the lore of Portal 2. In fact, I only finished Portal 2 about 6 months ago, when I got my Switch OLED. But I even picked up some lore that I did not know about, like how the chambers were suspended in the air in spheres, and how with each era of Aperture Science, Cave Johnson was getting more desperate and cash deprived, something I did not pick up on before. And likewise, the cut mechanic of Ratman's discs, which I will leave this video for you guys to watch if you're interested. Yeah, it's a game that somehow still captures my imagination all these years later, and finding out that Chell was a part of the Aperture Science Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, and actually getting to play through the incarnations of Aperture Science, yeah, it was just really awesome. and now a much newer game. I played a ton of CSGO as a 15/16-year-old, although I kept playing it up until about 2018. And because I mainly played the game during 2015 and 2016, Operation Bloodhound and Wildfire were a huge part of the game for me, and frankly a huge part of my life. Playing through Cruise again took me right back, since I haven't played that map for about 7 to 10 years now. Not only is it still a phenomenal map, I remember what I liked about it as soon as I started moving. Travelling via ships was a huge part of my life, from like 2009 to the mid-2010s. Whether that was taking a ship to Calais for a drive to Poland for the holidays, or for an easy commute to the Netherlands, Belgium and France from the UK. I spent many boring hours on ships, so despite this map looking nothing like the ships I've been on, the general themes of entertainment and bar areas, the video game rooms, it all brought back memories. It also helps that it's a fun map. I don't particularly love Season. I don't think I even did when the operation was on, but the design of that map is very Mirror's Edge-esque, so it does get a special shout out. The way that the single vibrant colours are used, and the way that the baked lighting is strategically placed to create some beautiful casts, yeah, it's nice. Agency was another map that I played a ton of, another really great map. And actually now that I replayed it, it's even better than I thought. COD devs really need to play some classic CSGO to learn good map design. But yeah, going to the helipad put a smile on my face. With this little area, you had absolutely no cover, other than maybe hiding by the metal fence. So I remember that area being the bane of my existence. And likewise, the main hall area I remember was where the main bulk of action was. I bloody enjoyed playing through these maps again. It brought me back to a time when I was not balding, and the only thing I had to worry about was GCSEs. Oh, and another shout out to Mikla and Santorini, which were the last maps I remember sweating it out on, before I started getting fed up with CSGO. I have to say, however, while these maps feel like a throwback to me, I guess because I didn't spend that much time in them, they don't really feel like home. They feel more like a spot you and your mates hanged out a few times and then never again. And while we are on the topic of CS Office was a crazily impactful map for me, though not because of 1.6 or SARS, well kind of, it was because of Gmod. I had played so much of Trouble in Terrorist Town, and especially Prop Hunt, that this map is a peak home for me. It's a space that I spent tens of hours in, had incredible memories with my friends.
The guy used his last grenade on the car when I'm in the cardboard. Oh, he saw me, he saw me. No, 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 no. Yes, yes!
That revisiting it, now empty with no players, no late 2000s meme sound clips that would definitely hit a content match, yeah, those memories are long gone. But the map remains in all of its glory. Oh, and I forgot how much I love the fact that if you shoot the Dells, you can see their internals, and if you keep shooting, the more PC components come off. And because they have photorealistic textures, you can tell that it's an Asus motherboard, a Cooler Master CPU cooler, and an IBM DeskStar hard drive. But you've all seen the Bringus video, so let's move on. Now, before I move on to Adam's story, I want to give 2 shoutouts to games of which the wars have impacted me, but not for nostalgic reasons. First, I gotta go back to Gmod. This is the New York City RP map by Fishk, who also did Union City and Southside, also incredible maps. Now, I'm only featuring this here because there's been other YouTubers that have made videos on these maps, and I don't really have much to add. Other than, as I've stated many times before, I love photorealistic textures, and love how Source takes full advantage of this graphical technique. And even though I played this map about 6 to 12 months ago, I was itching to play through it again, hence why I'm talking about it now. It's genuinely impressively detailed. Any door you see, you can open. Every storefront has logical space, like say a kitchen at a restaurant, or a manager's office at a shop. There is so much to explore, which masks the fact that this map isn't all too large. The map is also set in the late 90s, so you get to travel back in time before everything was digital and naff. Despite being an RP map, it also makes for a good walking simulator type of game mode. Oh, and there's even a functioning subway system, because why not? It is genuinely a really fun map to explore around, and I feel like this may become a future space of mine. Perfectly segueing to Superliminal. I don't know if it's worth me making a full video on this game, since it's old enough that many bigger YouTubers have already checked it out. But I have to say, I actually replayed this game twice in a row, something I don't think I've ever done, except maybe Portal to beat my playthrough time. But like Portal 1 and 2, once you master the puzzles and can actually enjoy the game's other merits, it was such a memorable and fun experience. I absolutely loved the world. Again, similar to Portal, you start at a testing chamber and end up breaking out of it, before the game takes you on a crazy journey through different themes and ideas, each one messing with your mind just a little bit more. And I'm not being very specific here because I do not want to spoil a game that is so criminally underrated. I think I did shed a tear at the end as well. That's how emotionally strong I felt about this game. And while this is a game that I've only recently played through, I know I will have memories associated with playing through the game, because my life has changed a lot in the last 2.5 months. I remember sitting on that mouldy old sofa in my previous house, getting sad that a game I fell in love with is over, and that my life is about to change and there's nothing I can do about it. This, and believe it or not, Astrobot, are the only 2 games I can think of where I have genuinely felt sorrow that they're over.
I've got a lot of titles that I could place myself in the world and imagine every single detail, every single sound. But for the sake of the video, I'll pick out 2. First is one that's already been mentioned by Patrick, but it's Counter-Strike. It's funny to see Patrick mention all the maps that were in like the operation rotation. It shows how differently we played the game. I was much more of a sweat, clearly, and I just sweated out competitive maps. I think the most important one that sticks with me is Inferno, that pre-facelift, that cobbled street version, with all the dodgy hiding spots and really unbalanced map design. But I love it. I can think of every single detail of it. I could locate someone just based off where the feet sound like they are. In the time before Premiere matchmaking came about, you used to be able to just choose which maps you wanted to queue for matchmaking. Hard stacked Inferno for like a load at the time. So we played it a lot. Everything about the map is kind of like clear, vivid in my memory. I got caught off guard once because I was watching TikTok and this dude was playing the guitar that plays at T-spawn when you spawn in. And I think I was watching it, sat and heard it, and I was like, shit. That was 10 years ago. And I kind of had that weird Ratatouille food critic moment where I just got transported to being a teenager again. And it took me a minute and I was like, wow, Jesus Christ, that was a weird experience. But it shows the impact that it kind of has on your brain and how's it on your life and how much it's kind of etched into who you are. Because I'm sure that this feeling I have for Inferno is exactly the same as Pat has with all these other maps, and everyone has with their favourite game. I've played enough hours of it, surely it's had some kind of impact. I think that in high pressure situations I'm able to kind of be calm and not flap when everyone around me is kind of, everything's on fire. Being shouted at by a French person and a Russian person simultaneously whilst you've got fire burning at your feet, surely it builds character, I think, and it helps you learn to be calm in high pressure situations. The second title that sticks in my mind is Arma. I played more Arma 2, Arma 3 and DayZ than any other game. I think Arma 3 is still my most played game on Steam, to be honest. So that alone, plus Arma 2 and DayZ, is just insane. All the maps that are involved there's Cherna-Rus, Takistan, Altis, Stratis and Tanoa. They're all ones that I just sunk hours and hours into. And they're huge maps. Like, Inferno's small, like, you can obviously walk from one end to the other in like a minute. These are massive maps that you can be flying over for minutes, and yet I can still like remember all the streets. Like, I can still picture where the streets are leading to. Like, it feels like a town that I used to live in. Like, it's it's like a place that I've lived in, even though it's not real, but it feels real. Annoyingly, it's filled with stupid information, like where loot is in DayZ and where fucking shops are from RP servers in Altis and Tanoa. But that's taking up a massive block of memory in my brain. But it's there for life. I think if a map feels like home, when you go back to it, I wonder if I went to that place in real life, would it still feel the same? I honestly think it could. It's like almost a one-to-one replication. I might be able to get around without a sat-nav. It's a very British thing to say. But it's like, I reckon it would feel like I'd been there before, even though I'd actually never been there. It was purely virtual. But that's what I mean by it's like it is real, even though it's not real. I think that the feeling of familiarity is different to that memory of like, oh, this feels like home. It's like the home feeling that when I think of Inferno, I think of Altis, and I think of like, oh, that feels homely. It's actually not the location, it's the memory. It's like that one Limmy sketch, where he goes to the train station, he's like, I want to go there. And he's talking about a location, but he's not talking about the place. He's talking about the memories that he had with his mates. That's exactly how it is. It's familiar. The locations are familiar, but they're not home. It's the home that I'm feeling is a memory, and it's not something you can go back to, but you could like go and think of it, go and imagine it. Anyway, thanks.